Hello and welcome to Simplifying AI in Government. I'm your host, Ayman Aitani, and I am joined by my colleagues, Jad and G. Together, we explore AI use cases in government and their impact. Let us get started with the topics for today. What do we have?
Awesome, Ayman. We have a couple of nice topics. We're going to talk about how Microsoft Azure got the FedRAMP High authorization. We're going to talk about how the DTA in Australia is implementing a new policy for effective AI use case in government. We also have we're going to see how the police have started to use AI in order to write the incident reports. And finally, we're going to discuss how the UK government is investing a bit more into helping teachers implement AI in their classrooms. So we're going to start off with Microsoft. Microsoft, basically, they got the green light for the FedRAMP High authorization. What this basically means, I'm just fixing my mic. This might take a moment. I think I'm done. What this basically means, first of all, for people who are not familiar with FedRAMP basically stands for Federal Risk and Authorization Management Program. What is it? Basically, with the digital transformation that started happening in governments had a concern that these cloud service or cloud solution providers might allow for accidental leakages for their confidential or sensitive information. Therefore, there was a program that started in 2011, which ensures that these cloud service providers or cloud solution providers
Did we lose him? I think we lost him.
Yeah, we lost MG.
It's not his mic only.
Yep.
That's cool.
Okay. Yeah.
Is DTA with you? What's the next topic with you?
Nope. I can talk about how the police is using AI in the
Go ahead.
USA. All right. So sorry, MG, you resume later when you come back. For the moment, the police, especially in Oklahoma City, started using AI to write their incident reports. So they work with a company named Axon, which is the company behind their gears, their body cameras, and so on. And this company, Axon, released their first AI product. They call it Draft 1. They really call it Draft 1. And it's powered by ChatGPT. It's not their own LLM or anything else. It's just a tool powered, trained specifically and integrated in all body cameras to write the incident reports. So one of the studies shows that police spend 40 to 50, even to 60% of their time writing reports on admin work, writing reports, making sure they have everything, watching the footage over again and again and again. So this tool helps them reduce the time spent on writing reports. Now all you have to do is just read the AI, what the AI wrote, confirm it. And so this technology is not new. So I think we already saw this technology being used in traffic cameras to identify missing potholes in the streets, people who cross red lights, and so on. It's just a matter, I think, of finding another use case for the same technology. So, Ayman, what do you think about this?
I think it's really cool. So you're telling me now, the same way we sit in a boring office having Zoom and Teams meeting and video, and then the AI tool transcribes the meeting, you're telling me the in-field cooler version of this is police wearing their fancy bulletproof suits, they have cams, and then that camera is recording everything. And then when they download it back at the office, they have a full transcript of saying, Jad said this happened, and so on. They go through this, they fix up a few things, and they post it. I think that's a really great use case. And it's much cooler
That's
than being
exactly
on a
what's
Zoom or
happening.
Teams call.
Yep, that's exactly the same as a Zoom call with the AI companion.
It's much more fun. Much more fun.
Yep.
Very nice. MG, good to have you back with us.
Yeah, I'm back. I had a small connection issue.
Of course. First the mic, then this.
I'm sorry?
First the mic, then this.
Yeah. First the mic, then this. Hopefully that will be the end of it. I was discussing the FedRAMP, what it stands for, and why it was created. I'm not sure where it cut off. I'm going to briefly discuss it again. So basically, governments had concerns with these cloud solution providers that their confidential or sensitive data might get leaked. So in 2011, a program was established to ensure that these cloud service providers have the proper security measures in order to avoid such leakages. So the FedRAMP basically has 3 levels of authorization: low, moderate, and high, with high being reserved for these highly classified data sets and these super sensitive and confidential information. So with this approval, so what does this approval for Microsoft's Azure OpenAI service mean? It means that their services, OpenAI basically and GPT, have met these security standards in order to be able to work with these sensitive civilian data. And now it basically becomes available for some of the government's most sensitive data sets. So the approval includes also GPT-4. Initially, it was, GPT-4o. Initially, it was only said to include GPT-4, but now it also includes GPT-4o. But this also makes, so what it basically does is that it makes OpenAI be available as a service to be implemented in governments. Ayman, are you familiar with the process that these companies have to go through in order to be compliant or get these types of authorization?
The ugliest and most boring process in order
I could
to
imagine.
get compliance with government requirements for IS, for IT, for data privacy, for electronic data security, compliance, all the things that you don't want to do. Think of it as, when you were a kid and you're trying to get something and then you talk to your mom says no, then you're trying to trick your dad into him saying yes. And then when they say no, you go to an aunt and you try to get that aunt or your grandma to say yes. It's it's an adult, an uglier version of that. Yes, to make sure that imagine AI compliance in government data analysis.
I can imagine how tedious and how boring these processes must be, because first of all, one has to be very, very technical when tackling with these issues, because data breaches is like something like an IT department type of thing, where you have to have collaboration between the agencies and between the government to make sure that everything is compliant. But yeah, it's a tedious process, I can imagine. Last week, we discussed how Microsoft's Copilot, they're launching the phase 1 of their government, or their GCC, basically what they called it, which is the Government Community Cloud, which is a version of Copilot that is aimed towards governments and has some security features. I would assume that falls right into place with the I would call it the authorization part, that Microsoft has these requirements in place, with one phase that is being implemented on Copilot, other phase being implemented through Azure's OpenAI service. I think things are falling in place for Microsoft to be the leader for government services. They already have their clients ready. They already have all the services ready. What else do you think they might need?
With my discussions with members in government about use cases for AI, I sense there's excitement. They want to release and AI use cases and implement that, but their problem is data privacy, data security. Where do we house our data? What do we keep on premise? What do we keep on the cloud? Is it in our private cloud? Is it in a shared or a dedicated cloud with Microsoft, Amazon, Google, or others? Those are the types of internal discussions that they're having or amongst themselves, because they want to make sure that they roll out AI. Government entities want to make sure that they roll out AI in a way that is compliant. And also the folks at compliance are not very happy with the AI advances, because that means a lot of the data is being given to third-party tools, either to store or to analyze or to report on. So they're also not excited about it. With Microsoft and OpenAI working on tools that are dedicated for government that addresses these main concerns, that can help move the discussion away from how do we do this to what can we do. Today, it's how can we do this, because we have to be compliant with data governance, data security, data access. Once those guidelines become clearer and the tools have evolved to address those specific restrictions, then the discussion can move more into what can we do with AI for government use cases.
Yeah, I feel like the phase of how can we do took a bit of time, but it ultimately unveiled itself with GPT and with other use cases that followed that. We know that it has different verticals that could help with NLP, some use cases that would help with coding, understanding numbers, and so on. So it definitely falls right into that.
Yep. For the next topic on our list, it's the UK investing £4 million in their educational system integration with AI. So this is their first investment related to AI in education, and their main focus is to ease the burden on teachers. So for now, they don't have a tool yet. They're still looking to use a tool for several main topics. One of them, grade assessments for the students. The second ones include curriculum guidelines, draft lesson plans, train the AI systems, optimize it based on the results they're getting, and it's specifically optimized and designed for specific educational material. So for the UK, this is a new one. For Dubai, for the UAE, we already saw a lot of universities, a lot of schools already having integrated AI within their systems, whether it's for students or for the teachers or for the admin part of the school. So, Ayman, do you think they're early, they're late, they should learn from another government, they should find their own use case? Because this is like the other, so I didn't see anything specific here. No tool, no specific training, nothing new.
For your question of who is late and who is early to AI, we're all early in AI. The listeners, the viewers, those who are thinking, those who haven't touched it, those who are using it every day, we're all very early when it comes to AI. Now, for the use cases of government supporting education in AI, the use cases are very focused on teacher workloads and staff workload. Those are the two verticals there. Staff, meaning the admin staff, the supporting staff, the non-teaching staff, their day-to-day. How can AI help them with that? And then the second aspect is teachers in terms of coming up with new questions, coming up with material, coming up with challenges for students, coming up with an easier and simpler way to explain things for students. So those are the two verticals there. So you have governments of Dubai, Abu Dhabi, in the UK. They're being progressive in terms of creating grants, creating initiatives, creating supporting use cases for the schools and the teachers in order to have these AI use cases. Now, if the government doesn't do this and support them on this, schools will eventually embrace AI, but it's going to take them much longer than if there's a government support, government grants, government initiative to push. And that is definitely helpful for the schools, for parents, and for the students who are growing up and going to school in the age of AI.
All right. Ayman, I have a question that personally I can't answer. As a parent, are you
No, you can't.
comfortable that? Yep, exactly. Myself, I can't answer it. You, as a parent, are you comfortable with AI grading your kids' assessment or a quiz? Because personally, I used to count sometimes on the empathy of the teacher to get higher grades. I think AI doesn't have emotions. So, are you comfortable with
That's a
this?
good point.
So for the question of if I'm comfortable as a parent having AI grade my kids' homework and exams, I think yes, for two reasons. One is already part of it is automated, right? So if it's an A, B, C, multiple choice type of exam, that is covered already by tech, by digitization, whether independent of the type of exam. Now, for the subjective part of the exam, I think some students might be happy, especially those students who would say that, oh, this teacher doesn't like me, this teacher hates me, that this teacher doesn't, will never give me a good grade or so on. The AI will look at specific things that to grade. However, still, I think the teacher will need to indicate to the AI tool what are the key elements that the teacher cares about to make sure that the student has learned. Have they learned this topic? Have they been able to answer this thoroughly? Make sure they include these points and so on. So maybe if that input is there, that can help. Now, for the part that you said where you use empathy of the students, of the teacher to improve your grade, that means where you go, like, oh, I studied so hard and blah 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 and so on, but why and so on. I think you can still do that, because even if an AI grades the teacher, grades the exams, the teacher still can come in and add, a couple of points here, a couple of points there, to help you out. I'm trying to imagine you as a student coming to the teacher and giving them the story on why you wanted to do, you should have done better on this. But good question, Jad. Thank you.
Yep. So we all had some stories for why we didn't study.
Oh, we do this we still do this every day with our bosses, with our colleagues, with our kids, with everybody else. So no, we don't grow out of it, Jad.
Yep.
Awesome, guys. We're gonna move to Australia. I don't mean to be a party pooper. I see you guys laughing, but I have a kind of more of a policy-driven topic. So we're gonna move to Australia, where they want to implement a policy for the responsible use of AI. So in Australia, they have the Digital Transformation Agency has set forth a policy. It's a very
MG needs a restart today.
Everything is glitching.
Needs to shut down, restart.
Everything is glitching. Even my even this. Anyway,
you just proved it.
Anyway. So basically, what this policy does is that it focuses on safety, the safety of adoption of AI, whatever that means, to enhance transparency with the users, and to adopt a forward-leaning approach to possible tech changes, like to be mindful about what the technology might offer later on, and to be flexible in order to maintain this kind of room for adjusting in-house. What the policy also aligns is that these agencies, in order to become compliant, they have to do a couple of things. One of them, or a few of them, are they need to identify who are the accountable individuals in the DTA within 90 days. Okay, so these accountable individuals are basically the reference points between the agencies and the DTA, who ensure that the policies of the DTA are enforced in the entity itself. Second is to implement proper risk mitigation. They also want a public transparency statement within 6 months. And they also emphasize on the flexibility, as we said, to maintaining, like whatever changes in the future, we'll be able to maintain and adjust according to that. So one first question that comes to mind, is this the norm when dealing with let's say, regulatory agencies, to have and identify an accountable individual who is the reference point with the agency, or just usually the agency has their own officials that make sure that these agencies are compliant?
What are they defining? What is that government entity defining as responsible uses of AI? What goes under that?
It was a very vague definition of responsible. I did not go deep into the specifics of the policy, but they want to implement something that has to do with safety, something that has to do with transparency, and something that stood out to me was the whole report, or at least the reports on the policy, did not highlight any issue on data privacy. And when you talk about governments, you have to talk about data privacy. We already had our conversations on how Microsoft is going the full length towards implementing data privacy. We also had conversations last week on how the Hong Kong Monetary Authority had data privacy as the main focus for their banking sector's employees. So something that stood out to me was that there was no data privacy policy in that, only transparency, safety of use, maybe ethical considerations, among others.
I think a big aspect for responsible usage of AI is clarifying to the public when you're using AI. So if it's an image generated or it's text generated using AI, there is a growing need to label that as generated with AI. And you're seeing more and more organizations like Instagram and others, what they're doing is, if they're detecting a post as an AI generated post, they're adding to it a tag of AI. And that has to do a little bit more with expectations of who is creating what. And that comes at a time when in the past, we used to believe that anything in video or images and so on used to be correct and true. But now with the changes in AI and the ease of manipulation of these tools, there is a need for clearer transparency on when AI is being used and how. So such activity falls under the responsible use of AI label.
Yeah, I'm with you on the whole transparency issue, because users, customers, and all maybe clients of government entities should be aware of when they are being let's say, whether they were talking to an AI or whether they're consuming any AI content. But what about data privacy? We did not see any data privacy concerns in that policy. Is this something? I feel like this should be something unified worldwide that has to do with data privacy and not just implemented on a maybe government by government basis.
I don't think you can have a global data policy because every country have their own needs and awareness and maturity for usage of data. However, there are broad guidelines that they can all agree on, which is, for example, who has access to the data, how clean is the data sourced properly or not, is it validated or not, private information by default is not accessible, if it's related to children, minor or medical data as well. So those tend to be broad guidelines on handling data, and that's pre-AI. That has always been a digital technology type of question and problem. So those would be broad guidelines, and then on specific countries, they would have their own requirements. So for example, in Europe, they have stricter regulation related to GDPR and other laws. In South America, they have their own version as well. So different countries have their own requirements to do so, but the broad headlines could be aligned on with different entities. And more government entities are identifying that their data is valuable. It needs to be better structured, clearer for them to really benefit from this. And they have to have those discussions now that they're looking to have analysis with AI on top. They're going to look at what access do we give the AI tool? Do we give access to all of it, to some of it? What are we allowed to report on it? And there are different levels of access reporting. You have public reporting, you have private reporting, and so on. So all of those are newer questions because AI has come more into play, forcing a fresher look at existing government data, especially that it's very rich and very detailed and very sensitive as well.
Yeah, implementing it on a country-by-country basis does make more sense. Maybe some broader guidelines, as you said, or maybe something that is implemented on the providers themselves, like OpenAI or Gemini or others. But again, these answers are new, as you said, and with time we'll see these questions are new, and we'll see the answers soon.
All right, that's all from us for today. Thank you for joining us. We're live every Thursday at 5 p.m. Dubai time to talk about AI use cases in government. Thank you for joining.